Hi, I'm Lisa Barrymore, and I'm so glad that you can join me so I can share my experience with you about designing governance for performance analytics and reporting at the scale of Walmart. My story is based on two separate experiences. What happened when I was at a company where governance was applied at the beginning, and what happened at Walmart when governance was not thought of until it became critical. I have 30 years experience in IT, but the last 5 years was in IT service management using ServiceNow. And you see that yellow symbol in the Walmart logo? That is your spark. And I talk about the spark because the spark is your motivation. What makes you want to go to work every day? What excites you? And I left a company after being there for 29 years to come to Walmart to work on service management and implementing governance, because my spark is teaching people how to make their job easier. I'm very, very excited about that. And so I believe that that's what it takes in order to apply governance in a way to get people to accept it. When I came to Walmart, I had to understand the way that the company was laid out in order to know what my stakeholders needed. I thought Walmart was just a bunch of neighborhood markets and super centers across the United States. But what I learned was that Walmart has several divisions and also has all these brands. So this is the family of brands within Walmart. Within Sam's Club is in there, but that's a different division. And so is Walmart International and Walmart e-commerce. So I had to wrap my mind around this. I also had to understand that there are over 3 million records in the user table, and the company I came from had 150,000 users. So all these things were very important when I came to Walmart to understand the needs and the layout of the business. So taking that into consideration, I'm going to share with you what you're going to learn, what I experienced. The impacts of no governance on a company. If you implement ServiceNow, you open up performance analytics and reporting, and there's no governance at all. How to introduce governance at any point. Maybe you didn't do it at the beginning, but you can do it some point later. You find the need to, like Walmart did. And why? Why would I do it anyways? What's the value outcome that I'm going to get from putting a resource to employing governance? I can tell you from experience that ignoring or skipping governance will result in platform performance issues, a poor end user experience, and poor user adoption. Here's the way I saw that when I came to Walmart. There were over 17,000 users that had PA reporting and power user and admin roles. That opens up a lot of risk. There are always those experimental users who try to do things because they can. Risky. Report queries, schedule reports were causing individual user and production performance issues. My dashboard is slow. My report won't render. The ServiceNow core team was constantly battling issues where schedule reports were overlapping each other, causing the job queue to build up. So imagine this, you have a report, it's an incident report that has conditions for incidents that were updated in the last hour, but this report's running every 10 minutes. It's pulling in thousands of records. At times during the day, the one report would start running when another one is still running, causing this domino effect, which built up this queue of running jobs. And then they would turn into long running jobs. On top of all that, the teams that did try to use performance analytics didn't find it intuitive. They gave up. People that did try reporting thought it was too complex, gave up. So they all thought that they had to just pull the data out of the platform, which is, you know, that circle of running those scheduled reports. So where do you begin? I come to Walmart in November of 2018. I see all this going on. This was my challenge. This was my spark, though. At the same time, I wanted to reach out to these users and help them figure out how to make things better. So I had to figure out who they were and what their business needs were and wrap my mind around the layout and scope of the company. So I looked at the different records within ServiceNow, like the report stats executions table, the report statistics table, scheduled reports. That told me things like who's running all the reports, which ones are run more often, how long are they taking to render. I looked at the PA records to see who tried performance analytics. And then I looked at things in the admin console. There were a lot of different other things I could see going on in the platform. Then I reached out to the people. I had to get them to trust me. Here I am new to the company and I'm going to start telling them how to do things, but it was all in my approach. I had to approach them as, I see what you're trying to do, but maybe you could tell me your challenges and then I could tell you some ideas on how to make this work better for you. I had to get people to believe in ServiceNow because I'll tell you how it was implemented. It was implemented as just this lift and shift replacement to remedy. People thought that all this was another ticketing tool. They did not realize that there was so much more ServiceNow could do. So there was just this poor perception. We didn't have an implementation partner helping to analyze and change the processes. So processes were the same. There wasn't a lot of data being collected in incidents. So people couldn't understand, well, why can't I get this out of my incident report? Well, there were just a lot of issues. So people had this negative view of ServiceNow. And then I had to get people to accept governance. I'm going to start putting some rules in place and guidelines and take away roles and permissions. I had to approach that from a positive perspective of, I'm going to help you and I'm going to help you make it better. But then I had to figure out the right way to do that to meet the business needs of a company of this scale. The next 3 slides, I'm going to talk about what I did, but I did all these things at the same time. First thing I did was I looked at what are people trying to do in these reports? And I created Walmart specific knowledge articles with examples and screenshots of things that I saw where people could improve on their condition buildings, for example. This is a screenshot of what I see, and this is how you could make it better. I created an article about all the ways to share reports and dashboards without even going out of the platform. I reached out to those team members who tried performance analytics, and actually they were our international teams who I reached out to first. So I had these regular working sessions set up with teams from Canada, from the UK, from Mexico, from Central America, and we met on a regular basis while I looked at what they tried to do, and we actually made it happen for them in the platform and performance analytics. And then I branched out into the other teams. I also shared with people and shared it within my own knowledge articles, the resources that are available on ServiceNow. My favorite has always been the YouTube channel that has a reporting playlist. I always told people, start with this playlist, look at these videos. It really tells you what you can do in reporting. A little while later, office hours started, and I started pointing people to look at the office hours for performance analytics that's out of the community. And then the Now Learning. When Now Learning was implemented and there was the free performance analytics fundamentals, I made that a requirement for anybody who wants to learn performance analytics. Go out, take this training, and then I pointed them to my own knowledge articles and then say, now let's meet and let's have some working sessions where I could get you started. But the most important thing here was building my team. I'm one person. I needed people from across the business to be my experts, to be my SMEs, to teach other people, spread the word, spread the training, and work together with me. Now, it was nice at the previous company I worked at where I did that right from the beginning, so we all grew together. But here I was building a team who had already been on a team of teams or SME team. They were again, in that negative place where, this didn't work for me before, and so they'd stop attending meetings. I had to fire them up to get them to come to my meetings to start fresh. So here's a picture of the document that I created for governance. I have another one for reporting, but basically to show you, well, what do you put in a governance document? What questions does this answer for people? This answers the question of what do I have to do from the development environment up to production, the development process, and what can I do right in production? Now, before they had access to write scripts, or, you don't want anybody doing scripting in production. You need that to come through the development process. Anything that's risky to the environment needs to come up through the development process. Database views, that needs to come up. What are they? Why do I need them? What's an overall best practice design policy for a dashboard? In the next sections for indicator sources and indicator breakdown sources, all that, I call those the foundational record sets, and there's guidance in there on what you need to create for yourself, what's already created for you, what should the naming standard be, what is the appropriate way to build conditions within these, and so forth. Data collection jobs is very big. You want to make sure you have a standard process for running data collection jobs so you don't impact performance, of course. At the same time, I took the roles and groups that were out there, got rid of those and replaced them with new roles and groups and roles in a way that met the needs for my business. This is not the same format that I used in the previous company because I had different needs. So you really have to design what are your users needing to do and at what level should they be at. For example, my admin groups at this organization, it is only the ServiceNow team. I needed to create a dashboard admin group for one specific use case here, with a group that needed to be able to change dashboard owners and share dashboards regardless of whether they were the owner or not. But basically the primary groups, the power users groups in both areas, these are your people who are doing that day-to-day work, who need to be able to do all aspects of it. I have a lot of detail in this slide to show you the measurable outcomes that I wanted you to be able to take this away later and look at it when you're deciding what to employ and what benefit you're going to get out of it. But I want to point out the most important value that I realized from this governance. When I came into the company, there were 300 scheduled reports. And those overlapping reports constantly running and overlapping with each other and causing long-running jobs and the job buildup. Well, there were 300 of them back then. We have over 2,000 scheduled reports today. They are not having any negative impact on performance. That to me is just amazing. I will mention one thing. I've looked back at these and I see that there are a little bit of growth in that area of overlapping reports. So I'm going to have to reach out to those users again, like I did a year and a half ago. Ask them, what's their use case. Maybe if they need data out of the platform, I can explain to them that we have two ways of doing that safely without impacting the environment, which is we have some standard APIs now and we have a data lake. So if they need to combine data with other sources outside the platform, we have a solution for that. They don't need to run overlapping scheduled reports. But this brings to light that other part of governance where you need to be on top of it. You apply it, but then you have to monitor it and make sure that it's being followed. These are the value outcomes that are not measurable, that are really, really heartwarming. And this is what really gives me my spark, honestly, this right here. People tell me, I can't believe how easy it is to create and share dashboards. I wish I knew about this sooner. Those are the people who thought that the only way to get what they needed was to export the data out of the platform. They didn't know. I mean, they tried, couldn't create the reports and dashboards, or they never tried at all because they didn't know. Text analytics was something that I really wasn't even sold on myself, but some people asked me about it. I showed it to them. This has become a real popular request now. I want to learn this because I want to build text analytics. People are actually finding trends before they become major incidents just by using text analytics. And then those BI tool users who say, I never thought I could create trend dashboards in ServiceNow. I thought I had to get it from a BI tool. Some people come and say, I need an API. They don't even ask, is there a way to do this in the platform? And I have to stop and inform them how, hey, guess what? Let me show you some dashboards in the platform. You may not need and to get in on the API, you may want to stay right in the platform. So this right here is the greatest benefit, not measurable, but it really drives your user interaction. Here's an example of an organizational dashboard using hierarchy. I'm going to explain another benefit of applying governance right from the beginning. At the company I was at before, I was able to use the parent field in the group table in a way to build group hierarchy that could be used in dashboards, especially performance analytics breakdown dashboards. But when I came to Walmart, that field was being used for other things, and the complexity around reallocating that field for my purpose would have been just too, just wouldn't have worked out. So instead we created another field in the group table that was exactly like that parent field, and we call it functional hierarchy. ServiceNow offers some labs at the conference on how to use that parent field for group hierarchy in your dashboard. So please take a look at that because it's really, really valuable and popular. So this dashboard I'm able to create, I'll call it a group of groups, right? A group of groups, a functional hierarchy, and an assignment group breakdown and a site breakdown on this dashboard. This team wanted to see everything they're responsible for. So we have incidents, major incidents, we have problems and change records, all being measured in this dashboard where they can look at it from a team perspective, product team, or from an assignment group perspective. This dashboard is actually used in ops reviews by the VP of this part of the business. When I showed this dashboard layout to some teams, this is another thing that became very popular. So we have another similar layout in case management, and I've got another team who wants it. It's just going crazy. So this is something really cool that you can do that people will like to use, especially in a business, an organization that's large or small. This could apply. So where are we going next in Walmart? One of the things I didn't tell you about was the Walmart Overview Dashboard portfolio, where we have a collection of dashboards that measures the entire business. So we have our Walmart Incident Dashboard, Major Incident Dashboard, Problem Dashboard, Change Dashboard. It's measuring all the metrics and KPIs for those products. And for example, on the Incident Dashboard, there are about 425,000 incidents a month, not even including the event management incidents that are created. So that's a dashboard that you're not going to use that to go drill down into the detail level records, but you're going to use it from an executive perspective to see what's going on in the company. So we want to expand that portfolio. Those dashboards are owned and managed by the Service Management Office, and we're going to expand that portfolio. We also are going to expand the governance, maintenance, and monitoring. Remember, you can apply this governance, but if you don't monitor it and you don't keep up on it and keep reminding people, help people with training, all of it's just going to go back the way it was pretty much. So you really have to keep an eye on it and help people along the way. But by the way, I also want to mention you could do that with one person. I was one person who came into the company to do this. It takes one full-time person because you're going to build your team, your team of teams, your SMEs. We're also going to introduce KPI Composer. I have another slide to tell you a little bit about it and what I'm going to expect from KPI Composer. And then also expand on the hierarchy and dynamic solutions for dashboards using breakdown relations, breakdown rollups, dynamic filter options, element filters, which by the way, there are labs about this and a lot of documentation in the community about how to use these type of things in your dashboard as well. Here's a real quick look at KPI Composer that's fairly new. And I wanted to share this with you and tell you my expectation of KPI Composer, although I haven't tried it yet. This is a ServiceNow slide, so you might have seen this before. Basically, what I teach people when I'm going through performance analytics training is let's design the dashboard as you imagine it. We want to draw it all out, literally. And then we're going to look in the platform and see what records already exist to build it. What kind of indicator sources, breakdown sources already exist that you can utilize to build this dashboard of your vision. But KPI Composer is something that allows you to do this all on the platform. You don't have to go out to a separate tool to draw it up or design it. You stay in the platform, and when you design it, it can also query what is out there that you can use to build on. So it should save a lot of time and a lot of work. That's my expectation of KPI Composer. So we're going to try that out this year. I think that my end users will love it because they are, we're going back and forth when we're designing dashboards. So we'll see how it goes. Here are the lessons learned and what I think should be the top takeaways that you can utilize. It's never too late to apply governance. You don't have too little if you have one dedicated resource. It's great if you could begin your implementation with established governance because you'll avoid a lot of the pain points that come later. But if you missed it, or if maybe you see opportunities for improvement, you still can do it. You do need to really dive in, talk to your stakeholders and users, know your business. I came into the company and didn't even understand the scope and layout of the company, and I dove right in, learned the business, learned what my users' needs were, especially addressed their pain points. And when I approached people from that perspective, that I want to know your pain points, I'm here to help you, they really responded in a positive way when I would use the word governance, whereas other times, governance is kind of seen as like a bad word. And use the ServiceNow resources. When I started with the previous company, we didn't have all the great ServiceNow resources that we do today. We did have the YouTube channel that had great videos, which I always used and pointed people to. But now we have the Now Learning. You can point people right to the training materials provided by ServiceNow. And then you can supplement that with your own company-specific documentation and training sessions. So use the resources, they're fantastic.